Hello and welcome to today's online webinar on the Swedish market. My name is Carola Keller. I'm looking after the Swedish market, amongst others. I'm supported by Pratt PR from Stockholm, which has been our Wines of Germany partners for a number of years. Jan Dworsky is our Wines of Germany team professional, want to call it, and he will give you an introduction on the market, some key data on monopoly development and trend, and possibilities to enter the market. Before we start, I would like to inform you that this webinar is being recorded and that we will supply it on our website in the closed part where you can have a look at it again, and we'll also upload the presentation there. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll try to answer all of them. And now I'll pass on to Jan.
Thank you very much, Carola, and warmly welcome to this presentation about the Swedish market from a very sunny and summery Stockholm today. So Sweden, up here in the north, we have a population of 10.5 million, and in contrast to many other countries in Europe, it's actually a growing population. The wine market has been rather stable the last few years, and sales through Systembolaget declined by 1% in volume last year and grew by 2% in value. But what is positive is that German wine sales actually grew last year, so it grew 6% in volume and 12% in value, leaving the market share at 4.5%, which is up from 4.2% in 2022. The value share is slightly lower, but that is also increasing. To see what is sort of trending or what are people looking for when it comes to wine in Sweden, I just did a Google search where you can see what are the most popular searches, and I choose to first look at the white wine grapes, so Riesling, Chardonnay, and Sauvignon Blanc. And what is encouraging is that the Riesling is the most searched grape in Sweden, ahead of Chardonnay. That's been the case for the last few years, but I think that's very positive. On the red grape side, looking at Merlot, Pinot Noir, and Cabernet Sauvignon, it's Pinot Noir, which is well above Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon, which is also, of course, a positive from a German perspective, given the grapes that are grown in Germany. So what are the specifics about the Swedish alcohol market? When it comes to alcohol beverages, which is below 3.5%, which is, of course, some ciders and beers and not wine, they can be purchased at any grocery store in Sweden. However, anything above 3.5% must be purchased at Systembolaget through their shops, and it's open Monday through Saturday, Monday through Friday to 7 o'clock, and at 4 o'clock at Saturdays. Then, of course, you can bring wine and spirits back from traveling abroad. It can, of course, be consumed at restaurants, and then there is a very small market for direct imports by consumers, but that's a very, very small market. Another specific is that taxes on alcohol are quite high in Sweden, and looking at wines in the bracket of 8.5 to 15% alcohol, the tax is now close to 30 kronor per liter, so slightly below 3 euros. That was raised by 3 kronor at the beginning of this year, and it's been sort of constantly raised over the last few years. On top of that, there is VAT or 25%, which is in line with other consumer products, but food products have a VAT of 6%, so it's much higher than for food products. Another specific of the Swedish market is that marketing is very strictly regulated. So you can not have advertisement on TV for wine and spirits. In social media, there is a rule that you can, what is allowed is that you can only show a bottle and a glass, a very neutral background, and so you can't sort of use nice pictures, which is sort of encouraging people to think that drinking wine is a nice thing. Then when you look at Instagram and social media, you will find a lot of entries that are not living up to this rule. So some importers are sort of taking that chance that people will not report it. What is allowed is that reviews by wine journalists and wine influencers, which are testing a lot of wines, what they think about the wine, that is okay to use in advertising. However, sort of on an average week, you have sort of 20, 30 wines getting good reviews every week. So it's of course difficult to stand out. Partly, I think, as a function of this very restricted way of marketing, celebrity wines are very popular in Sweden. And of course, if you're a well-known celebrity, that it in itself is sort of marketing to have that name on the box or on the bottle. So that's a sort of way to reach out to consumers. And on the picture you have, on the slide, you have 3 recent German wine celebrity wines that has been launched in the market, which all have been quite successful. Then I wanted to highlight that when it comes to sort of the wine business, it's not only wine producers that are having a tough time. The wine importers in Sweden is having a very tough time. And one reason for that is the very weak Swedish krona, which is down some 9% from the end of 2020 versus the euro. And of course, all wines are either bought in euro or in US dollars when they buy from the Americas or Latin America. And during this period when the Swedish krona has weakened by 9%, the prices at Systembolaget has only been raised by 6%. And in addition to this, the taxes on wine has been rose by 5% in 2023, another 7% in January. So as a function of this, the profit margins of the wine importers has come down very significantly. The chart shows there are 2 large wine importer groups that are listed on the Stockholm Stock Exchange, and this is their profit margin development, which has come down very much. So they are in a quite a tough spot at the moment, partly as a function of the weak Swedish krona. So how do you reach the consumer in Sweden? By far the most important channel is Systembolaget, as this is a monopoly market, and 85% of all wine consumed in Sweden is bought through Systembolaget. And to reach Systembolaget, you have to go through a Swedish importer. Systembolaget is not buying anything directly from any producers. It goes through an importer. However, The restaurant HoReCa segment is important. It's less than 10% of overall wine sales, but it's a way to get a foothold into the market. If you get an importer bringing the wines into restaurants, and that could be a starting point of building a brand in Sweden. In some cases, restaurants also have an import license, but I'll say the majority, or more or less all restaurants, are buying their wines through an importer. Then direct imports, as I said previously, is by consumers is allowed, but it's a very, very small part of the market, because it's for a few real enthusiasts, and it's quite sort of cumbersome and difficult to import directly as a consumer. So Systembolaget, in the range, they have 15,000 wines, so it's quite a big wine shop. They have close to 1,750 in the fixed range, which you find in most of the shops on the shelves. And then there is about 1,800 in the temporary range, which is launched every Thursday every week. There are different products being launched in the temporary range. And then majority of the products are in the order range, which you can then buy online, and then you can get the wine sent to your home, or you can pick it up at one of the shops. But when it comes to volumes, 95% of the volumes are in the fixed range, with 12% of the products. In value, it's less, because the more expensive products, most of them are not in the fixed range. When it comes to Germany, Germany has 670 products listed, roughly. What's encouraging is that it's up from 560 back in 2022, and there are 75 in the fixed range, also up from 2022. And the fixed range products from Germany represents about 83% of the volumes of the German volumes. And as you can see, it's dominated by white, so 65 white, which is predominantly Riesling. There's a few other grapes, 6 red wines, 1 rosé, and 3 sparkling. If we look at the key categories in the Swedish market, and this is the share of volumes by categories back from 2015 to last year. And it shows that the red wine has decreased from around 50% to around 45%. White wine has increased slightly. Rosé has been more or less stable, and what's increased over this period is sparkling wine. Then another, if not unique, but it's more so than in most other markets, is that bag-in-box is 50 or half of the volumes are in bag-in-box in the Swedish market. That's been rather stable the last sort of 7-8 years. And then another feature, and that's been driven very much by Systembolaget, is an increasing share of ecological products, which has gone from 17% to 26% of the volumes, even if it's been rather stable the last few years. So how do you get into the fixed range, which of course is where the really large volumes are? There are 2 main ways to enter the fixed range. One is through tenders, which Systembolaget is announcing on a regular basis, where they define that they want a specific grape, they might define a grape from a specific region, that it's a lightweight bottle, that it is ecological, that it is, and then they define that we want to have 50,000 liter of this or something else. So it's and what the price point for this should be. And then they get the importers involved, reaching out to producers, and then they get a number of producers, importers participating with trying to win the tender, and then it's blind tasted and of course check that it lives up to all the qualifications, and then one is chosen, and then it's guaranteed to be on the shelf of Systembolaget for at least 9 months, but it's tough in a way that if it doesn't sell well enough, then it is replaced after this period. So it has to sell well, otherwise it loses its spot. Another way to enter the fixed range is if a product sells well enough within its price segment in the for order range, then it can qualify for the fixed assortment. A recent German example of that is Philip Kuhn with its Pinot Noir, which started out in the order range and then sold well enough, so it is now part of the fixed range listing since beginning or since 2021. On this slide, you have the current tenders that has been announced by Systembolaget. I won't go through all of those in details, but you can see that it's the first one. It says organic Pinot Noir, the price point, lightweight bottle, how many liters. Then the second one, it's a Weissburgunder, it has to be from Rheinhessen and Pfalz of Baden. So it's clearly, so it's well defined what they are looking for in these tenders. So this is the market share trend for German wines in Sweden, which is very encouraging. So from around 3.5% in 2018, we're now up to 4.5%, and a very big market share increase in the last 3 years. And in value, we've seen an even bigger increase in share, which is very encouraging. It's also encouraging to see that German wines is getting traction when it comes to Horeca. This is a study done by Star Wine List, which is keeping track of 300 of the key restaurants in Sweden and their wine lists. And back in 2018, they did a study, sort of which countries are featured in these wine lists. And of course, it's France was the number one and remained the number one. But what's encouraging us is that Germany has moved from a number 5 spot to a number 4 spot, overtaking Spain when it comes to wine lists. Of course, these 300 restaurants, I would say, is the top 300 restaurants in Sweden. So it's not your local pizzeria or your local bar. It's the sort of the restaurants which have quite extensive wine lists. And this also illustrates is illustrated by this interest is we are doing Riesling weeks in Sweden since a number of years back, and which is starting in a couple of weeks. And in 2020, there was about 40 restaurants participating, and now we have 121 restaurants participating. So it shows that there is good interest in the restaurant in restaurants to bring German wines to the guests. So some more specifics about the German position at Systembolaget. So Germany is the 8th largest market with a volume share of 4.5%. Number 7 when it comes to value. And of course, a much stronger position in white wines, where Germany is now ranked as number 4 with a share of 12%. But in value, Germany is actually now number 2 in the market after France, which is really positive. And that's up from number 4 back in 2021. We still believe that there is a large opportunity to grow share across all categories, but I would say in particular in red and rosé, where the market shares are low. And as I alluded to in the previous slides, there is a positive trend in HoReCa when it comes to German wines. And I would say that if you go to any bar, sort of wine bar in Sweden today, or sort of a good restaurant that have wines per glass, if they have 3 white wines, there will always be 1 Riesling of those 3 wines. If you go back 5 or 10 years, that was certainly not the case. So there's a big shift towards Riesling, which is positive. It's a very busy slide, but these are the top selling, the 50 top selling products at Systembolaget last year. And of course, in terms of volumes, you have 5 bag-in-box brands, which is taking a lot of volumes, where the price point is low. And of course, a number of those are sort of the fruity style of wines, but what has been really growing over the last year is dry white wines. But it's in the mass market, there is still a lot of demand for the fruity style of wines. So white wine sales, market flat last year in volume. Germany grew by 5%, and so in volume, France, South Africa, and Italy is ahead of Germany, but in value, Germany is bigger than South Africa and Italy, because the South African Italian whites are, most of that is very cheap wines, while when it comes to Germany, there are a lot of interest for the more medium priced or highly priced wines. Red wines, very positive trend. German red wines have grown strongly in the last few years, grew by 34% in volume last year in a market that was down. However, as you can see, the market share is very, very, very small, so 0.3%, but it's grown from nothing to 0.3%. And of course, the really big volumes are in the market are not in Pinot Noir. It's Shiraz and Syrah and Bordeaux blends that are dominating, but we clearly believe that there is an opportunity to continue to grow red wine volumes in Sweden. Rosé wines also outgrew the market. Germany outgrew the market last year, 13% in volume in a market that was down 1%. Here the market share is much higher than in red wine, so a market share of 3.2%, but of course it's still an opportunity, we believe, that to take a higher share of this market. Sparkling wines in Sweden, also a good development last year after a few years of declines with not sort of sect products declining, but much sort of the more the very cheap sparkling wines. Of course, it's very much dominated by in volume by Prosecco and Cava, which is taking a very, very large share of the market, and in the premium segments, of course, champagne is very dominating. So it's a tough market to enter, and when it comes to HoReCa, it's difficult to push out champagne, Prosecco and Cava from the wine lists. Looking at the development by price points at Systembolaget, you can see that this is from 2023, that the strongest growth were in the mid to high end range. So it shows that consumers are recognizing the quality of German wines, and I think that's part of the perception change, that a number of years ago, if you stopped someone on the street and that was not a wine connoisseur, but sort of an average consumer, their perception of German wines would be a sweet wine, which was quite cheap. But I think that is gradually changing, and people are recognizing the quality of the German wines, which is positive. So as I said, we believe that red wine is a big opportunity. One reason for that is what's happening with prices. Of course, Bourgogne has a big following also in Sweden, and people like that style of Pinot Noir. But given how prices have increased for good Bourgognes, it's come to the point where people are looking for alternatives that are not so frightfully expensive. And I think that's where German Pinot Noir clearly has an opportunity. And as an illustration of sort of the starting point to some extent is we have one real five-star hotel in Sweden, that's Grand Hotel in Stockholm, and they have one of the biggest and deepest wine lists in Sweden, and an enormous wine cellar. They have the wine list is 157 pages, and 8 pages of German white wine. So that's well. They have a lot of that, 21 pages of red Bourgogne, and 3 German red wines in their entire wine lists. And when I looked at this a couple of years ago, they had 0 German red wines. So it's a big increase from 0 to 3, but it's clearly shows that there is an opportunity to convince restaurants like Grand Hotel to have more German red wines in their wine lists. And there is a positive trend, but from a low starting point. So how do you sort of enter this market? Of course, as I previously talked about, it has to go through an importer. Systembolaget does not deal with any producers themselves, so they only sort of buy through importers. And the importer market has consolidated in the last 5 years. We have two large groups, the Viva Group and Anora Group, that together controls 1/3 of the market. And the top 50 importers controls about 90% of the market to Systembolaget. Then you have something like 1,000 importers registered at Systembolaget. And of course, a lot of them are sort of more sort of hobby or very, very small importers that sort of they're working with something else, and then they like wine, so they go on a trip and they start to import one producer or one product. So you have quite a lot of that. To build a brand in Sweden, I would say it's tough given that marketing is so restricted, and it takes time and investment over time. And I think for this to be successful, then the producer also needs to be involved in marketing, to come to Sweden, to present the wines to restaurants, sommeliers, for winemakers dinners, etc., to sort of help the importer to build the brand. To communicate to the importers, I think you need an English presentation. So sort of the key selling points why your particular winery and wines are interesting, and why they should look at that. Ideally, of course, it's great if the website also is in English, but I think if there's a good English presentation, that could also work. And to do this successfully, I think it's a long-term thing. It takes time, and there's a long-term relationship. And it's also important to stress that you can only have one importer to Systembolaget. And I don't think it's either a good idea to have one importer focused on Systembolaget and another importer working with HoReCa, because most of the importers are working with both HoReCa and Systembolaget. So I think it's important to work with one, and if one sort of works with an importer and after a couple of years realize that it's not really working out, then it's more then of course one could try to find another importer, but then of course you have to walk away from the previous relationship. So this slide of the top 50 importers in Sweden and their market shares in the Swedish market. And of course, if you are interested to approach the market, then we can help with lists of these importers. And I would also say that if you're really keen on trying to get into the Swedish market, I think it's in a month or so, Sweden will close down for summer holidays, and I think it's better to reach out to importers after the summer, because now people are sort of doing all the things you need to do before going on holiday, so they're not too interested in looking at new things. So it's better to wait until after the summer, so in September to approach importers. So what are we doing at Wines of Germany in Sweden to continue to ensure that there is a positive trend for German wines in Sweden? We're working with the press, journalists. There are still newspapers, even if most of them are digital nowadays, and fewer are being printed. But of course, our objective is to continue to ensure that the wine journalists are writing a lot about German wines in Sweden. We're working also very actively in the digital space through newsletters to the professional market, both Horeca and journalists. We're working a lot with our digital channels, Instagram, Facebook, and through our website to reach out to the professional markets, but also to consumers. And then we are focusing also on the Horeca segment, so restaurants, sommeliers, where our key event every year is Riesling Weeks, which will start in a couple of weeks, and where we now have more than 120 restaurants participating and 20 importers that are all sort of sponsoring that. We have some partners that we're working with. We are working extensively with the Swedish Sommelier Association, which is an active association for sommeliers in Sweden. Star Wine List, which is working extensively also with the Horeca segment, and then we're connected to the Swedish culinary team when it comes to combining food and wine. So this is a snapshot of what we're doing in 2024. We're halfway into Q2, so a lot of things on the left we've already done, but I'll go through some with some more detail on the following slides. What are those activities? So Riesling birthday, we are of course celebrating that. For us, it's a digital event where we send out press release every year, and to ensure that the wine journalists are picking up on this, and then we are doing campaigns in social media around this, which we had very good following this year. Riesling Weeks, talked about that already. So very encouraging that we have 120 of the top 400 restaurants in Sweden participating in this, restaurants and bars, I would say. And it's not only Stockholm and the big cities. We have participants from the southern tip of Skåne to Kiruna, which is sort of close to the polar circle. So restaurants are putting together everything from winemakers dinners to tastings of flights of Riesling to menus where they're pairing Riesling to their menus. And 20 importers are participating, and and the restaurants are not being paid to participate, but the importers are offering the restaurants discounts on German Riesling for this 2-week period. So many are sort of reducing the price by 15-20% during this 2-week period, and they sell more wine, and the restaurants are happy, and the importers are happy to participate. The partnership with Star Wine List is twofold. One, they're participating in the Riesling Week, but they also have an event every year where they are electing who has the best wine list in different categories, and we are sponsoring the best German wine list of the year. So a lot of restaurants are sort of putting in their wine list, and then they have a very prominent jury that is then choosing which restaurant has the best wine list. And this is sort of, we see that as a way to ensure that the restaurants are putting focus on Germany in their wine lists. The association with the Swedish Sommelier Association at the Swedish Championship, which took place a couple of weeks ago. We were present, and together with an importer, we were serving wine to a lot of journalists and sommeliers that participated at this event. So again, an event to showcase to the HoReCa segment in particular that German wines has they should sort of focus on, or they should think about German wines when it comes to putting their wine list together. We also do sommelier events, master classes for sommeliers. We also do master classes for press and influencers, and this year we did biodynamic masterclass together with Romana Eschensperger, and we had close to or 45 of the top wine journalists participating, which was a subject that people was really interested in, and we had a very good pickup of the people that we really want to attend. Then we've had pop-up tastings, which is and we'll have that in the autumn, and that's bringing new producers, the wines of producers that are not present in the Swedish market, and we do that over 2 days, and in our office, and we have importers coming to our office and tasting those wines, and it's been very appreciated by importers. And last year we also had the participating producers doing a short video introduction of the winery and the wines that they sent, which was also highly appreciated. So we had a barcode that importers that attended could then scan with their mobile phone, and then see and listen to the producer, not only taste the wines. And then every year at the end, towards the end of the year, we have a Christmas open house for the trade, which is both importers, sommeliers, journalists, and influencers that are coming to taste German wines and talk about German wines. And we also focus on social media and particularly our Instagram account, where we've grown the followers very substantially, and it's a very good way to reach out to the professionals, but also to a cost-effective way to reach out to consumers. That was all. Then, if we have some questions.
I've got two questions here. One is, what are the chances of producers who are non-VDP members?
I think that there's a good chance for non-VDP members as well. I would say, of course, you find a lot of the VDP members at Systembolaget, but you find a lot of non-VDP members as well. So I wouldn't say that people are only, the importers are not only focusing on VDP members.
Another question was regarding certificates such as Fair and Green. Are they relevant for the tenders, or what other certificates are required in order to have a better chance to join the market?
I think when it comes to the tenders, I think it's usually that an ecological certification is more important than Fair and Green. But it's and you find that when it comes to the tenders, not all, but most of the tenders will have a sort of an ecological requirement. But it's I would say it's Systembolaget has maybe moved not away from ecological, but it's that their focus is very much on the packaging today, and because they have a very ambitious CO2 footprint objective to bring that down, and they realize that sort of the key for them to deliver on that is packaging. So lightweight bottles, pouches, cans, etc. That there's a lot of focus on that when it comes to the tenders.
Okay, we've got another question. This is regarding no or low alcohol wines. How's the market for that?
It's increasing, but it's still a very, very small part of the market. And of course, when it comes to sort of the non-alcohol wines or de-alcoholized wines, of course, then they can be sold anywhere at any store. So people are not really sort of just going to Systembolaget to buy that. You can buy that at any grocery store, and then of course it's a different game to reach those large grocery chains.
Okay, some of you might have noticed the chat function is not working. So if you do have any additional questions, you can put them in the F&A part. Are there any more questions? Somebody popped up here. No. Just for information, we do have the Sprechtag on the 13th of June in Oppenheim, where Jan is also attending. And if you want to have a face-to-face meeting, please do register. You should have all the information. You should have received them from Katja Hefner. If you do not have them yet, please let us know, and we'll share a link so you can register. The forum starts at 10 o'clock, and we do have some places so you can talk directly to Ken on the day. The presentation, just to repeat it once again, will be uploaded on our website in the closed part where you can have a look at the presentation, and we'll also upload the video of this call. And if there are no other questions, you still have the chance to...
Maybe, Katja, sorry, Carola, on the 23rd, I think there are some spots, times still available.
So you also can have a call with him next week on the 23rd. So again, you need to register for that. I think that the hours are till 6 o'clock. Yeah, okay. So either way, I can either, via phone call or Teams or in person on the 13th of June. No questions pop up. Are there anything in your chat? Jan, I don't know, you were the host, so you might have something in the chat function. Got somebody raising the hand. Can you use where are you? Nope.
No, that's I only have what the questions you already put.
Okay. So if you do have questions, do feel free also to email us. We're happy to answer any questions you may have. At this point, I'm sorry that the chat function did not work out properly, but as I said, everything is available and we are here to answer all the questions you might have. See somebody else. Oh, there was a question here, how the market is for white Pinots.
Sorry, the market for?
White Pinots. Like
white Pinot. To be honest, I don't think there is a single one at Systembolaget. So it's a market still to be
developed,
sort of built.
Okay, well, let's see. Well, he says he can't write questions. So as I said, sorry, the chat function doesn't work. So if you go for the F&A part, you can still put your questions in. Otherwise, we're gonna say thank you for joining us. I hope you got a lot of information on the Swedish markets that you did not have yet. And as I said, we have a couple of possibilities for you to get in contact with us, either on Sprechtag or next week on the phone call or via email, or, we're here in Bodenham and Jan is in Stockholm. So we're always here for you if there's something else pop up. So thanks everybody for joining us. We wish you a great day and hope to see you in the near future in the Swedish market. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.